Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we are in Canto 3, um, Chapter 3, verse 1. Today we'll cover verse 1 to 3. And this chapter is about Lord's pastime outside of Vrindavan. So let's recite a prayer before starting the class. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Rashtraprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki. So far in chapter 1 and 2, we'll just briefly try to recap what has happened so far. So in these two pictures, you'll see on the left side is Lord Krishna with his 400 form sitting below a banyan tree. And at this point of time, the Lord has already spoken the Uddhava Gita. So on the right side you see Uddhava, and behind Uddhava you see Maitreya. So Lord has spoken the Uddhava Gita to Uddhava, and after speaking the Uddhava Gita, then he meets with Vidura. So that's the next picture in the bottom. He's talking to Vidura, and Vidura is actually asking about the Lord's pastime because Vidura left during the war, period. That time, what happened is Vidura was kicked out by Duryodhana. So he went out for the pilgrimage for about 34 years, and by the arrangement of the Lord, he meets Uddhava, and then he wants to know about what has happened so far. Though he knows, but he wanted to hear it from Uddhava. So he meets Uddhava and he requests Uddhava to. He has many of the questions, which is all these questions are discussed in chapter 1 of Canto 3. And you can understand the position of Uddhava. He just had a nice discussion with Krishna about the past, about the Uddhava Gita, and then Krishna leaves this planet. So he is completely absorbed in that. And then he wants to be in that mood, and at that time, Vidura comes and asks him the question. So he is so much in an emotional state. He is always with the Lord. So being always with the Lord, the separation of Lord, it was very difficult for him to bear. And it was difficult for him to speak about the pastimes of the Lord. So somehow or other, he discusses the pastime of the Lord in chapter 2. He discusses the pastime of the Lord which is within the Vrindavan. The Lord never leaves Vrindavan. So this particular chapter will be discussing all the pastimes outside of Vrindavan. So as we know that Krishna is not living Vrindavan, then what happens? How he will perform the pastime outside Vrindavan? So it's explained in Laghu Bhagavatamrita that the Lord, and Bhagavatam also to explain that when Lord has to perform the pastimes outside of Vrindavan, then he expands in the first quadruple expansion, which is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And Krishna himself as Vasudeva, he performs all those pastimes. So there are like 23 verses in this particular chapter which we'll have to discuss, and most of them are pastimes. I'll try to cover some of the pastimes which are not well known or heard of, others which are known and not touched in details. So since there are so many verses, we'll just read the translation and go through the discussion. So the first verse is discussing about killing of Kamsa. Sri Uddhava said, thereafter Lord Krishna went to Mathura city with Sri Baladeva, and to please their parents, they dragged Kamsa, the leader of the public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. So as you can see, Krishna is pulling Kamsa with his hair. Now, why he did this? Because Kamsa was a very wicked person, and everybody had a lot of problems. The people in his kingdom had a lot of problems. So, in order to show his strength, he dragged him and pulled him from his throne. And before that, Krishna and Baldev, they killed all the other demons, all the other friends, the friends of Kamsa, and they were all demons. So he killed all of them, and finally dragged Kamsa with his hair, and then he killed him. And then actually, what he did in this arena, he pulled the dead body of Kamsa to show everyone that
Nine malls and everything.
yeah. So that way he pulled to show that he has been literally killed. Otherwise, they might think that he is fainted. But he did that act to show them that no, he is finally killed, and you are out of the clutch of such a demon. So this is about the first pastime. Second pastime, learning under Sandipani Muni. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them, one from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, who rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. So if you see that Uddhava is narrating this pastimes, in one sentence is he's remembering. So he's like touching or scratching the surface. Now, by doing this, actually, what is happening is he is thinking about Krishna more deeper and deeper, because he is going through the sequence of events which has happened, the entire life history of Krishna. So earlier he went to the pastimes of Vrindavan. Now these are the pastimes which is outside of Vrindavan. So just by hearing, he can immediately meditate upon the personality of God. So that's why he is touching all these pastimes. So once Kamsa was killed and then Ugrasena was thrown as the king of Mathura, then the parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, they wanted Krishna to get educated. And Krishna himself wanted to get educated. So they sent him in the school of Sandipani Muni. So here you see Krishna and Balram, they are sitting and learning from Sandipani Muni. Now, the Lord being all knowledgeable, he doesn't have to go through this process. Just to teach us or set an example that if you want to learn the Shastras, then you have to learn under a bona fide teacher. So for that particular purpose, he himself went through the schooling system, and then he learned the entire Veda in 64 days. So this was just done to show us or show the normal people that you have to learn the Vedas from a teacher. And same thing he repeats in Srimad Bhagavatam 4.34. Tadvidhi pranipata paripashrena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnana tattvadarshi. So you have to go to a tattvadarshi, one who has seen the truth, in order to learn about the scriptures. Then once his education was done, then he asked, how should I serve you? You have given me the knowledge. Now you see the 4.34 has like 36 sections. Tadvidhi pranipata. You have to surrender it in order to get the knowledge. Pariprashana means you have rights to ask questions. A third thing is sevaya, because we cannot repay the teacher whatever he has taught us in some monetary way. So you repay them by service. So the two things, this service means two things. One is our part means we cannot repay actually, but we do something for the teacher who has given us the transcendental knowledge. And the other meaning of the seva is the teacher teaches us how to serve Krishna. So this last part of this particular verse is that Krishna satisfied the demand of the teacher. Sandipani Muni tells him that if you want to serve me, you please bring my dead son from the Yamaloka. So then Krishna, and it is very impossible to do such an act. But Sandipani Muni, knowing that Krishna's position, he gives him such a task and he performs that act. He goes to the Yamaloka, he saves his son, he brings him back to his father. So Prabhupada says, towards the end of the purport, he says, the devotees are not dissatisfied by the Lord when they perform any kind of devotional service. So when we also perform any service, Lord will take care of us. But this should not be our motivation to do the service. But Lord will always fulfill our desires, whatever desires we have. Third verse, saving Rukmini. Attracted by the beauty and fortune of Rukmini, the daughter of King Bhishmaka, many great princes and the kings assembled to marry her. But Lord Krishna, stepping over the hopeful candidates, carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carried away nectar. So there is very interesting, like two pastimes over here. One is a pastime of Krishna um, stepping over the hopeful candidates, going into that arena and snatching away the Rukmini. That's one pastime. And that has been compared, the metaphor which is given is compared to the pastime of Garuda, who carried away the nectar. Now, not much description is given in the purport about the pastimes of Garuda, how Garuda carried away the nectar. But I did some research, so I'll share that last. How what happened?
Indra, he took it.
Yeah, he took it from
to
Indra.
the son of Vinta.
Yes, Nagas.
Nagas.
Yeah, that's the pastime. So I'll repeat that pastime. So as we know that Rukmini was the goddess of fortune, and she is always meant to serve the Lord. But Rukmini's father, Bhishmaka, he was in favor of getting married Rukmini to Krishna, and Rukmini was also definitely she wanted to marry Krishna. But her brother Rukmi, he wanted her to get married with Shishupal. So then she writes a letter to Krishna that please come and please take me, otherwise I'll give you my life. And then Krishna, that letter was sent to Krishna by a Brahmana, and then Krishna comes and then takes her away. And Rukmi, when he hears that, then he follows. You see a picture, you see, Rukmi is following Krishna. And at that time, after that they had a war. And Krishna really defeated him and he wanted to kill him. But Rukmini, then she asked for forgiveness and she protected her brother. So Krishna saves his life in that way. And he was really humiliated. So Prabhupada gives the metaphor, or actually Sukadeva Goswami used the metaphor, that carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carried away the nectar. So the pastime of Garuda is like this. When the universe is created, universe is populated by the Prajapatis. So Daksha Prajapati's pastime, which comes on later in 6th canto. So Daksha Prajapati, he gave birth to 10,000 sons and then 1,000 sons. So all of them became devotees, right? Brahmacharis, by the blessings of Narada. And then what happens is, then he gives birth to 64 daughters. Out of them, 13 daughters get married to Kashyapa Muni. So Kashyapa Muni had 13 wives. Out of the 2 wives, one wife's name is Vinita, and other wife's name is Kadru. So Vinita gave birth to all the snakes. She gives Kadru gives birth to the snakes, including Anantashesha and Kalia and all these things, and snakes and reptiles. Whereas Vinita gave birth to the birds, which includes Garuda. So once upon a time, what happened is they had animosity. Both the sisters had animosity among themselves. So Kadru wanted to rule over Vinita and keep her in a suppressed mode. So for doing that, they do a betting that what is the color of Uchashreva, the horse which came out of the churning of the ocean. What is the color of the tail of Uchashreva? So Vinita said that the color of the tail is white, whereas Kadru said it is black. So then they wanted to check it, but at that time Kadru told her demon sons that you go and hang on to the tail of Uchashreva. And then they go and hang it. So it looked black. So she lost the bet. So the condition was that if she loses the bet, then they have to become their servant. So then they were serving as a servant. Vanita and her sons, they were serving Kadru, and they were very badly treated. So
They are the snakes or birds?
Yeah, snakes. They were so Garuda and Garuda's mother, Vanita, they were serving Kadrus. So Garuda was in much anxiety. He was very much anxious how to come out of that situation. So the Naga said that if you can get the nectar from Indra, then and give it to us, then you'll be freed from this. So this is how Garuda actually goes into the heavenly kingdom, and then he snatches away all the nectar, and then when he's coming back, actually Indra follows him, and Indra then actually shoots him with an arrow. But Garuda, because he is a carrier of the Lord, he doesn't have to show this. But what he does, he shows that just to respect Indra, one of his wings fell off. But though one of his wings fell off, he still brought that nectar back to the Nagas, and then gets freed from this situation. So this is how the last line is, as Garuda carried away the nectar. So similarly, Krishna, from between all those kings, there are many kings which came to marry Rukmini. Between all those kings, Krishna goes there and then he carries all of them. Rukmini from them, it snatches from them Rukmini, and then he takes them up. Next pastime is marrying Nagna Jati, Nagna Jiti. By subduing 7 bulls whose noses were not pierced, the Lord achieved the hand of Princess Nagna Jiti in the open competition to select her bridegroom. Although the Lord was victorious, his competitors asked the hands of the princess, and thus there was a fight. Well equipped with weapons, the Lord killed or wounded all of them, but he was not hurt himself. So this particular pastime, Nagnajiti is the daughter of the king Nagnajit. Actually, her name is Satya. So this pastime is not described, but I heard this pastime, so I will try to repeat it, that whatever I have heard. So here it is saying, by subduing 7 bulls whose noses were not pierced. So what does the meaning of piercing the noses of the bull means? It means
Not
that the
tamed.
bull, yes, exactly, it is not tamed yet. So the way to tame the bull is to put a nose ring kind of thing. So they can pull or control the bull. So King Nagnajit, he wanted his daughter to get married to Krishna. So he devised a plan. Then, in his plan, he made a plan to put such a competition that none of the kings would win except Krishna. So he had those very strong 7 bulls, and all the kings, they assembled in the arena of King Nagnajit. And Krishna also came there. He was also invited. He also came there. And then all the kings were defeated. They could not control those bulls. But whereas when Krishna came, he expanded himself into 7 different forms. And then he defeated all those bulls. And then with one rope, he pulled all those 7 bulls to show his strength. Now, if you see these pictures, like there are 7 bulls and 7 Krishna, there is another important thing which Srila Jiva Goswami he mentions. Nagna Jyoti, she knew that Krishna is married to 7 other, many other, damsels. So she was saying that after seeing this, after seeing Krishna alone, she was thinking that there are so many qualified devotees who are actually serving Krishna. Then what is my position? I'm not even qualified as Rukmini or Satyabhama. So Krishna, being omniscient, he knew that she's thinking like this. So in order to show her that I can expand and take care, so that's the reason he expands into 7 different forms to show her that when I get married to you, actually I'll expand, and one of my form will be specifically dedicated to you. So this is about the pastimes of Nagna Jati. Then he got married to the Nagnajiti. At that time, other competitors were there. They wanted to, though Krishna won, they wanted to marry her because she was very beautiful. So then Krishna fought with all of them single-handedly and defeated all of them and wounded them both. But he was not hurt himself. So these pastimes are going on chronologically. But one of the pastime, I think the next one, which will the bringing of the Parijata tree, is not actually chronological. Now, out of this 16,000, we have heard about this 16,108 wives of Krishna. Right? So there are 8 principal concerts, and these 8 principal concerts are Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, Nagnajati, Kalindi, Mitravinda, Bhadra, and Lakshmana. So there is 8 principal consorts, and 16,000 other 16,100 were saved from Narakasura. So that pastime is going to come. So next pastime is bringing Parijata tree from the heaven. Just to please his dear wife, the Lord brought back the Parijata tree from heaven, just as an ordinary husband would do. But Indra, the king of heaven, induced by his wife, henpecked as he was, ran after the Lord with full force to fight him. So this is a very interesting pastime that once Lord Krishna brought a flower for Rukmini from the heavenly planet. So after seeing that flower, beautiful flower, actually Krishna went to save King Indra, and that time after coming back from this, he brought the flower. So Satyabhama, as soon as she saw that flower, she was very attracted with the flower. So she said, I don't know the flower, I want the entire tree. So she's saying in the first picture, I don't want the flower, but I want the entire tree. So then Krishna, on her request, he goes to the heavenly kingdom. And then he asks Indra that, I want this tree. So Indra, he forgot that Krishna just saved him. And he said, no, you cannot take this tree. So anyway, there was a fight, and then Krishna took that tree from Indra, and he brought it to this material world. Indra said that this tree is only meant for the heavenly planet, heavenly kingdom. It cannot be used in the earthly kingdom. But Krishna is the owner of everything, the entire creation. So whether it's the heavenly planet kingdom or the material world, in the earthly kingdom, doesn't matter, Yeah, it should be going by the will of Krishna. But Indra forgot about that. And then he wanted to have his dominance over Krishna. So this is Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that this is the nature of the tendency of the conditioned living entity. That Krishna is doing so much for us, but we immediately forget what he has done, and then we want to show our dominance over him in one or other way. And in this verse, it says, induced by his wife, henpecked as he was. So Indra considered Krishna as henpecked, but actually he was henpecked. He doesn't know the relationship between Indra, Krishna, and his devotees. So he is just thinking in the material terms. But the Lord is just trying to satisfy, he is trying to reciprocate the love for his unalloyed devotion which they are performing for the Lord. He is just trying to reciprocate with that. That's why he is performing such tasks. Next verse. So the next 4 verses are liberating princess from Narakasura. So we will try to go quickly over that. 3.6, 7, 8 and 9. So Narakasura, the son of Dharitri, the earth, tried to grasp the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of the kingdom to the son of Narakasura, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demons. Okay, next verse. There, in the house of the demons, all the princesses kidnapped by Narasura at once became alert upon seeing the Lord, the friend of the distressed. They looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness, and offered him to be his wife. All those princes were lodged in different apartments. So this is he killed Narakasura, and then all the 16,800 princes, 100 princes, they wanted to get married to the Lord. And then what happens is all the princes were lodged in different apartments, and then the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansion exactly matching each and every princess. He accepted their hand in perfect ritual by his internal products. So he married with all of them, but the marriage which the form which Lord assumed, he expanded into 16,100 different forms. And those forms were exactly according to their needs.
Different emotions.
Yeah, they will different emotions. Just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offspring with exactly his own qualities. So within those 16,100 wives, each of them had 10 kids. And they were based on, and so in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the expansions of the Lord. And originally, so this is the expansion which has happened, is called as Vaibhava Vilasha expansions. So now this is a very complex theory. We went through this in the Vedic cosmology class, but the Lord, original Lord is Sri Krishna, but to perform different pastimes, he expands in different ways. And this is very nicely done by Radhakrishna Prabhu. And then I've just put it in a presentation format to understand that how the Lord performs different pastime in which different expansion it is done. So we will not go through this, but this is the reference is Chaitanya Chaitamrita Madhya Leela 2165 onwards up to the end of the chapter. These descriptions. So these particular expansions are called as Vaibhava Vilas expansion. That's what Prabhupada is explaining.
Prabhu, as per his slide.
Right.
In the slide,
Prabhava Prakash.
Prabhu Prakash. Married with queens of Dwarka.
Yeah, marriage which 16,108 wives of Dwarka. Yeah. This is Prabhava. Next is killing of Kalyavana. So Kalyavana is a friend of the king of Nagad, Jarasandha.
I'll explain this past.
So Kalyavana, the king of Magadha and Salva attacked the city of Mathura, but when the city was encircled by the soldiers, the Lord refrained from killing them personally, just to show the power of his own men. So in this particular pastime, Jarasandha was defeated by Krishna 17 times. So in the 18th time, he wanted a group other friends because he was like completely destroyed. His people were killed. The army was abolished. So in order to do that, he wanted friends. So then he became friend of Kalyavana. So they devised a plan that Kalyavana should attack from the north in Mathura, and he will attack from the east. So they can simultaneously attack. So Krishna heard about this, and when Kalyavana entered Mathura, Krishna before that he mystically transformed all the devotees of Mathura to Dwarka, and then he ran from the city because he wanted to perform this pastime. He wanted his devotees to kill. Um, he wanted to empower his devotees to kill Kalyavana. So the Kalyavana, then what happened is uh, Krishna actually devised the plan that he ran into this cave where Muchukunda, if you see over here, Muchukunda was resting. So Muchukunda fought with the demons, for the devatas for a long period of time. Then they asked for what boon you want. He said, okay, I want to rest for a long period of time without any disturbance. So the devatas told him that you can rest in this cave, and if somebody disturbs you, as soon as you are disturbed by somebody, wake up. As soon as you woke up, your vision will burn the person in ashes. So this is how Krishna goes into this cave, and As Kalyavana comes near a sleeping person, he actually kicks him. This is after kicking, as soon as he opens his eyes, he burns Kalyavana. So in the purport also Srila Prabhupada explains that Kalyavana was killed by Muchukunda, whereas Bhima was killed by Bhima killed Jarasandha. That was later on. So this is about the pastime of Kalyavana. Now, similarly, he killed many demons of kings like Sambara, Davida, Bhana, Mura, Balwala, and many other demons such as Dantavakra. Some he killed himself, and some he caused to be killed by others. Or others means over here Baladev and his other disciples like or friends like Arjuna. So this particular section will be 12 and 13 will be description of the Kurukshetra war, where Arjuna actually kills all the party of the Kuru, other parties, like Duryodhana and all that. But actually, in the universal form, when the universal form is actually shown, Krishna shows that Duryodhana, Dusashana, Karna, Subala, all this Bhishma himself, all the great soldiers are actually killed by Lord Krishna himself. Except the Pandavas, all of them are killed. So this was already shown by Krishna to Arjuna before only. This is going to happen. So this, you just become my instrument. So as the previous verse says that some of them were killed by Krishna and some of them by his devotees. So in order to glorify the devotees, actually he is using those devotees in order to glorify them. He's using them as an instrument to kill them. But actually it is done by Krishna himself. So in the 12th and 13th verse, I'm not going to go over this pastimes because this is what is the essence of these two verses. Once the enemies of the Kurus were destroyed after the battlefield of this, then the next verse is interesting is the disappearance of the Yadu dynasty. So all the demons were killed. So in this particular 13, 14 and 15th verse, the description of the destruction of the Yadus is given. So in the purport of this these two verses, Prabhupada is saying there is a burden of the burden of a heavy burden can be a burden of love or burden of beast. So burden of beast is the burden of the Kurukshetra, the Kurus. They were the burden of the beast, whereas Yadus are the burden of love. So after the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said that the abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshauhini, has been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna and Bhima. But what is this? There is still a great strength of the Yadu dynasty born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden. So this is it's saying a more unbearable burden, but this is burden of love. Now the Yadus were practically indestructible because they directly came out from Krishna. So once Krishna leaves or his pastimes are over on the earthly planet, then who is going to deal with them?
What is the problem?
Yeah.
What is the problem?
Because they are so powerful, and they come in contact with the material nature, they can become contaminated if Krishna is not there. Because Krishna is there, in presence of Krishna, things will go smoothly. So they are so powerful and they cannot be taken out by anybody else. They cannot be killed by anybody else. So how will that dynasty, be destroyed if they are not in a proper mood? So in that case, then the next verse is saying that the Lord devises a plan when the quarrel among themselves influenced by intoxication with their eyes red like copper because of drinking madhu, then only they will be disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. And on my disappearance, this incident will take place. So Lord devised a plan that in order to take out the Yadu, they have to fight within themselves and kill each other. Second thing is, the Lord is going to miss them because Lord is living from this material world and he wants his associate to be with him. So he doesn't want to leave them behind. So that's why he wants to take them back. So he devises a plan that they fight among themselves. They kill each other and they go back to work. So externally it looks that this situation that they are drunk and they are fighting among themselves and killing each other.
Does it include children of Krishna?
This includes the entire Yadula, I think everybody. I think so.
The only one I can say is a couple of his grandsons are there,
Grandson.
right?
I'm not sure.
Krishna's lineage continue, but these are Yadus, means not his direct sons or relatives.
The other
The other
people in the city of Mathura.
The
What
residents-
about the sons of
I
Krishna?
think
They continue?
because we had stories, right, where we had Krishna's grandsons in the past times.
Janameza is
Yeah.
that's Arjuna's.
Yeah, that's all. There are two lineages, one in the Yadu dynasty lineage, another is Hastinapur. So Pandavas are there. So that lineage continues. Lord Shri Krishna, thus thinking himself established as Maharaj Yudhishthira in the position of supreme controller of the world in order to show the ideal administrator on the path of piety. So here you see that Lord has established Yudhishthira as the king of the world. So that was his idea. The Battle of Kurukshetra was done to establish Maharaj Yudhishthira as the king of the entire world because he was very pious king. He was Dharmaraj. So he would then after the he would establish Dharma. So that was the goal of so